Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. It is your buddy Choppadong coming at you another episode of Chop Talk, brought to you by the one, the only DFSArmy.com. As you know, we cover all sports. We have the link down there in the comments section. The coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, delivers 10% discount. You know we have content, tools, coaching, everything. You've heard me preach it over and over and over again. Today I'm going to open up the Domination Station Optimizer and show you a little bit of how I use it. It's very, very, very simple to use my way. You can make this more complex. You can make this as complicated as you want. You can make 150 lineups in just a few minutes. Download the CSV file, throw it in all of your MME quarter arcade stuff that you guys like to do. I don't personally play that way. I don't often coach that way. I refer you guys to people like Donuts and to our other Football Geek and other MME type guys, and there are others that I'm sure I'm leaving out inside DFSArmy.com where they tend to have more success than I ever would because I just have never played that way. So what I'm going to show you is how I do it, because it doesn't take long, 10 or 15 minutes maybe. What you have to do though is you have to go back into the YouTube channel, you have to go back to the video inside the Wishbone out on Twitter, and you have to pull the box checkers data off of the research station, which is also a VIP only tool that we have at DFSArmy.com. So use those tools in conjunction with each other. Things like, quarterbacks that are home, favored, implied to score over 24 to 26 points, and have a high QBR rating, things like that. You go through the research station, you knock that list out, and you pull forward names like, this week Ben Roethlisberger, Case Keenum, Drew Brees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and you narrow down to the best of the best of the best. And then you do that with every single position: running back, wide receiver, tight end, etc. And then from there, what you're going to do is you're going to only use those players in your cash type lineups. You can put out 15 different lineups from me if you want to do it this way, but we'll all have the same general player pool that is historically proven to hit value together. Therefore, we can mix and match and play, and we'll never duplicate each other. That's the beautiful part about it. Here at DFSArmy.com, we don't give you lineups. We're not a lineup provider. We're going to teach you how to come up with the best lineups, though, the competitive lineups that give you the best chance in the industry to hit those 50-50s, triple ups, quintuple ups, 100-man leagues, 20-man leagues, small GPPs, etc. And then you'll use the other guys other than me to get off on the contrarian plays, the ultra hyper crazy stuff. You need 5% exposure to this guy, 10% exposure to that guy. You want to fade this guy, etc., etc., etc. All that stuff that I don't necessarily concern myself with, that those GPP guys do, they can help you grow both sides of your game. That's the beauty of the Army. We have everybody here. So I selected the 1 p.m. only because, well, let's do the main. Why not? Where's the main? There we go. So I'm selecting the slate. I'm on Fanduel typically. You can do this on DraftKings, Fantasy Draft, any of it. Select your sport. You can see the sports that we have offered on the Domination Station. All the slates are loaded. You can see here where I've turned off tons of the games. And the reason for that was because I was making another video for you guys and honestly didn't want to share with the public the best of the best optimized lineups. I'm not going to do that either, but I'll share my cash pool with you. It's fairly simple. Let's say we want to make 15 lineups, and if I want a little bit of spread, like mostly a pretty tight core and a big core, I would select maybe 2 unique players. If I want a smaller core and more variation in my lineups, I might select 4 players. That's totally up to you. It depends on the feel that you want. What I'm going to do, without even looking at anything the Domination Station has, other than maybe ownership projections to see who the chalky guys might be, if I sort those guys by ownership projection and bring all of the chalk to the top, that gives me a leg up in some of the cash game type scenarios. And I'm looking for value numbers, who might be more valuable than others based on projections versus their salaries. I'm going to start with the quarterbacks. And the first thing I'm not going to stack or anything. I'm going to come down here, uncheck all of the boxes. I'm only going to check the ones that I want based on box checkers. Does that make sense? If they're home, if they're favored, that's maybe about it. I might include Rivers. That one's pretty risky. Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Andrew Luck, Mariota, Matt Ryan, Carr, Fitzpatrick, Bortles, Tannehill. I don't know that I'm going to like any of these guys here over these that I've already got checked. So I'm trying to keep the pool relatively small. Then I'll come to the running backs and uncheck the box, and I'll do the same thing. And it isn't going to be very many of the running backs this week. Gordon's on the road. I get it. McCaffrey borderline cash safe. Dalvin Cook on the road. Great spot though. But these are guys, we're going to build a very, very safe core, and then we'll come back and maybe add a little bit of the crazy GPP type plays. Royce Freeman, I don't know if he's cash safe to me. Devonta Freeman's out. Leave him completely unchecked. Deion Lewis, possibly. Philip Lindsay, I don't know. That's a little bit of guesswork between him and Royce Freeman. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Fournette, James White, I doubt it. Tevin Coleman, a lot of people like him. We'll go ahead and include him in the list. Below Powell, Darren Sproles. Trying to see just to make sure I didn't absolutely forget someone. Instead of doing it by ownership, let me sort it by salary, just to make sure that I didn't forget anyone big. Some people are considering Lamar Miller. I don't know that he's cash safe over these other guys. I don't know that Adrian Peterson is cash safe over these other guys. But if it makes the salaries work, I'm a little bit more inclined to go ahead and allow it to happen depending on what the rest of my lineup looks like. That's why we're going to vary those lineups, and that's why we're going to make more lineups than we need. I'm not going to run 15 cash lineups. Okay, so small player pool in the running backs, and I actually made it a little bit bigger just to say. And where was Todd Gurley? Did I check him? Is he on a night slate? He should be on the afternoon slate. Where the hell is Todd Gurley? I'm going to make a note to our admin team about that because that's crazy. All right, uncheck it. Brown, Thomas, I don't like Julio for cash personally. I know he got 19 targets, but until I see it again and some red zone work, I'm not a big fan. DeAndre Hopkins on the road, Tyreek Hill on the road, Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen on the road. Makes me a little skittish about, these two are on the road. Makes me a little skittish about using them on the road. Home, I'd be skittish about Demaryius Thomas too. It's a workload issue. Emmanuel Sanders for sure. Jarvis Landry, that feels very, very cash safe even though he's on the road. So there are exceptions to every rule. Corey Davis, Josh Gordon, deep threat, not so much a workload guy. Will Fuller, Randall Cobb, Chris Hogan, Godwin, Nelson Aguilar at home. Crowder, I don't know. Probably wouldn't take him over Aguilar for cash. Where's our buddy Anunwa? Definitely would want some Anunwa. Scroll down here, there he is. I'm not going much below this. I know some others were mentioning down here in the 4,500 range. Who's it, Pettis? Wherever he is. Some people are mentioning that. That might be fine, but I don't think I need to go below Anunwa. When I look at tight ends, Gronk's not at home. Kelsey's not at home. Got forgotten about. Zach Ertz possibly. Jordan Reed possibly. Kyle Rudolph's on the road. Doyle possibly. Kittle for sure. Joku, Watson, Cook. Everyone likes Jared Cook. I'm not sold yet. Not for cash. Griffin, James, Safarian Jenkins. RSJ will be popular. Ricky Seals-Jones. Coming all the way down here to the big backup, and this is risky too, but he's so cheap that you can probably take the risk. And then, of course, defense. And then what we'll do is we'll just run it. I know you didn't come in here to watch me check all these boxes, but I'm just showing you the process about how long it takes. If I was doing, where are the Rams? Oh, come on. This is the main slate. Oh, no wonder. It didn't click when I checked. God, it scared me. So where are the Rams? There they are. So I need to go back into the running backs and the wide receivers, and I need to grab Gurley. He's checked. Good. Wide receiver. Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp. Probably should be checked. Golden Tate's a little bit safe on the road too. Brandon Cooks is checked. Robert Woods should not be checked for cash. That was tournament. Cooper Kupp. Okay, now we're pretty set. So now that I've got basically my two big cash plays at defense and all of the others, I can go back and now I've run 15 lineups with 4 uniques, optimize all. See, what I've done is I've selected the player pool. I've picked all of the box checkers, the safest of the safe, the best of the best. And then, barring a player here, a player there, the industry is largely going to agree. What I'm doing is I'm allowing the optimizer now to use its algorithm to properly match the salaries versus the projections to give me the highest point total possible. This should also give me the highest floor possible. And I'm letting the computer, I can hand build these all I want, but what I personally have found is that when I hand build stuff, I get emotionally married to other players. This is where the optimizer helps me not get emotionally married to these other players. So these should all be lineups that are fairly safe to play. To be quite honest, it gave me 15. I might run through there and pick a few here and there. You know, and then what I want to do is I may tighten up my player pool a little bit more and either run it again or go back through here for the GPP side of things and go back to the quarterback. Who else would I consider? Aaron Rodgers, for if he plays, maybe. You know, Cam Newton could win a slate. Matt Stafford could bounce back. Kirk Cousins, especially if what's his face isn't involved, if Aaron Rodgers isn't on the other side. These are GPP narrative type quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson, of course. Garoppolo, probably. See how my player pool is growing? Matt Ryan, even. Ryan Fitzpatrick, not changing the. I don't think Tyrod Taylor has enough upside to win a GPP. I think he's got a great floor. Don't really know about any of those other guys unless you're really getting into great big GPPs. So we'll expand the player pool and running backs a little bit. Kareem Hunt. I haven't seen anything out of him yet. I know his talent workload. Don't trust. Fournette's injury. Lamar Miller, maybe, probably not. Kenyon Drake, I don't know. Would he be in the winning lineup? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. So you can check him if you want. I'm not doing a lot of it. Chris Thompson, Yeldon, maybe. Barber, Bilal Powell. I mean, you're going to miss a few of these guys too. That's just the way it goes. James White, who knows? Maybe. Not a lot of competition in New England right now. Freddie Morris, don't know. Eckler, Ty Montgomery, Sonny Michel, Latavius Murray, Theo Riddick, Blunt, CJ, all these guys. Duke Johnson, possibly. A little bit of a risk there, a little bit of a reach there. Come down here through the wide receivers. Should be a lot more of these. Of course, Hopkins, Tyreek, of course. Devontae Adams, if he's healthy. Keenan Allen, of course. Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, of course. T.Y. Hilton, maybe not this week, but maybe. Probably should put him in there. Golden Tate, Demaryius Thomas. I don't like Amari Cooper anymore. Ted Ginn, possibly. Marvin Jones, of course. Great tournament pivot. Robert Woods, don't know yet. Kenny Stills, maybe. Not getting the targets. Robbie Anderson, probably. Good pivot off of Nunwa. Dorsett, Corey Davis, possibly. Deshaun Jackson, probably not playing. Will Fuller, nothing but touchdown upside. Josh Gordon, of course. Chris Hogan, don't like the way he was being used. Going up against that secondary. Randall Cobb, of course. Godwin, of course. With Djax out, possibly. Cam Meredith, Devin Funchess, of course. Jordy Nelson, Jameson Crowder, Sammy Watkins, Devontae Parker. Marquise Goodwin, #1 possibly in San Francisco. Tyrell Williams could get behind the defense. Don't know that I like him as much this week. Paul Richardson, don't know they're going to use him that much this week. D.D. Westbrook, sure. Cheap. Galladay, of course. Would love Galladay over D.D. Westbrook. Garcon, Keelan Cole, Mohamed Sanu. Maybe Sanu's a good pivot off Julio Jones. Mike Williams, Mike White. You get the point. I mean, I'm down here in the scrubby scrubs now. That's where you would put, you know, the Pettis in there or whatever. But just not to belabor the point too much. What am I at? 13 minutes on the video. Gronk, of course. Kelsey, maybe. I mean, he could be on the GPP winning lineup for sure. Jimmy Graham, maybe. Kyle Rudolph, Ebron, Howard, Njoku, Ben Watson, Jared Cook. I mean, sure, could do it again. Hooper, McDonald, Gates. I mean, these guys, a lot of these guys could be on the GPP winning lineup. Jesse James, perhaps. ASJ, perhaps. Okay, so that's probably pretty good. Now, this isn't a complete list. I would go back through and I would make this a complete list. The other thing I might do is I might set up some stacking rules. Denver, Houston. Denver's in a good spot. Philly, always GPP type of defense. Minnesota, Jacksonville, don't know. New England, facing Bortles, maybe. Don't know that I don't know that I would run it if I saw it appear in a lineup. Carolina, Tennessee, New Orleans. Why not go back to the well? GPP, right? Green Bay, Pittsburgh, of course. Mahomes is a rookie. Chiefs, Ben coughed it up a lot lately. You just never know. Is it viable? Sure. San Francisco is always tough at home. Redskins, there's another good one. My favorite on the week, Atlanta. So we got a lot of things. We've expanded that pool big time. If I go to the team stacking options or the position stacking options, I can take a quarterback and I can select a player or leave it at general quarterback. I can say exactly one player of the wide receiver or tight end from the same team and add that rule. And now I'm going to get a QB wide receiver or a QB tight end stack in every lineup. I can run down here max exposure and say nobody in more than 75% of my lineups. See how that all switched? I can do things like that. That adds a little bit of time, but it's not too hard. Global decisions are not that bad. And now I can scroll down here and start looking. Alex Smith, Kamara, McCaffrey, Antonio Brown. What I'm looking at is a chalk, relatively chalky, relatively chalky, popular. Okay, so now I've got, what, 2-3 spots that are maybe off chalk, and I'm correlated with Alex Smith and Jordan Reed. Defense is interesting because defense doesn't usually correlate so positively with these guys, but you can see how it would work for a GPP scenario. Alex Smith, Tyrod, and Gordon. There's a good contrarian stack, a lower owned stack. Run it back with Kamara, Gurley, Antonio Brown, chalk. People will be chasing Jared Cook, Dalvin Cook again, Washington Redskins again. Another solid GPP lineup. Ben, Brown, Kamara, Gordon, Chalky, Enunwa, Cook, Redskins. Really likes the Redskins. There's one with Atlanta Falcons in it. Tyrod, Landry, Kamara, Gurley, Brown. I mean, you can see it's revolved around a pretty tight core, a pretty chalky core, and then gets off in a couple of funky spots. That's the idea at Case Keenum with Emmanuel Sanders. And then you got Kamara, Gordon, Brown. That's obviously going to be a popular core. Cook, Dalvin Cook. You know, you're a little lower owned with some of these, and then the Redskins defense gets you off the chalk. I mean, that's just how this thing's going to run. Ben, Brown. I don't see any Ben Juju. Tyrod, Connor, Brown, Kamara, Landry, Enunwa, Zach Ertz. Redskins D again. So, you know, it's just how this thing, I've just spent, what, 17 minutes, and I've got cash lineups that I could use more than I can use. I've sifted through there, look for ones I like. GPP lineups with a stack in them all. You could set up the lineup too. You could run it again with this stacking rule and say, okay, defense, stack with exactly one player, running back. Add the rule. Stack the defense with one running back from the same team. And now you're probably going to end up with some Tevin Coleman, or, you know, Devonta Freeman, since it probably didn't take him out of the player pool yet. Or you may end up with a lot of Adrian Peterson, Chris Thompson / Washington Redskins, based on what the Domination Station was throwing at us before. Ooh, New Orleans Saints with Kamara. That's a tournament right there for you. Because people are going to, and there's no other Cleveland in it. People are not going to be running to New Orleans this week. They got scared. I'm not saying they're going to win you a GPP. I'm saying you get them at low ownership. Dalvin Cook and Minnesota Vikings. So it's pulling in the other defenses because it's not willing to let go of the running backs. That makes more sense. Kamara, Minnesota, Dalvin Cook, Minnesota, Saints, Kamara. But now you got Smith, Reed stacked, Kamara, Saints stacked. McCaffrey is a little bit of a GPP pick. Galladay is a GPP pick, and then a little bit of chalk and Enunwa. And I mean, this one's as far off the chalk as I've seen so far. It's a sexy lineup. You can't argue these guys are in good spots. You can't argue that the mixing and matching isn't a little bit differently than you would come up with in your own head, and that's what the optimizers are for. They use those algorithms, and they're only as good as the projections you put in. It just so happens I think we got some pretty darn good ones. I blew away the field last week, more than doubled my money in my cash lineups. Super simple. You know, even with as high scoring it was. I heard a lot of touts on a lot of the other sites talk about how they kind of lost a little bit. I don't know how losing a little bit last week was possible with the way the chalk went off in cash games. I really don't. I know as a DFS army, most of us had a great week. The people that didn't ran some sub-chalk stuff in cash and got a little too cute in a lot of cases, and the chalk absolutely exploded last week. So anyway, a little bit of a tour of Domination Station. Took us 20-minute video. It'll take you 10 to 15 minutes to set it up yourself. When you get really quick at it, it won't take long at all. You need to do a little bit of the work beforehand, read some of the articles, content our coaches put out, get an idea of your core for cash games, run that through the Domination Station first, then go back and add more check marks to who you would consider for tournaments. Set up a couple of rules, stack a little bit, boom, run it through, and go back through those same 15 to 20 lineups. If I wanted to run, 40 lineups this way with just two, let's say I wanted to run 3 unique players, click optimize, it'll do it. And these will all shuffle up and be a little different. If you wanted to change it up a little bit again, you switch from optimal mode to tournament mode. It'll randomize them a little bit more for you. It'll get off of the real dominant salary types and really start throwing in some funk. When you scroll down this list a little bit, you may end up seeing some rather funky stuff. There's Jonnu Smith, first time we've seen him. Case Keenum, Emmanuel Sanders, Kamara, Gurley, Antonio Brown, so still chalky core, and Nunwa, Jonnu Smith, Dalvin Cook, New Orleans Saints stacked with Kamara, Keenum stacked with Sanders. You can't argue the spot that this puts you in. Scroll all the way down here. Towards the bottom here, and there's Cam Newton. Wow, with Funchess, not even McCaffrey. And then Kamara, Connor, Brown, Enunwa, Cook, Minnesota. So just tons of options for you. Funchess and Cam again. Tons and tons of options. You want to set that rule up and stack with 2 guys? You can make it, exactly 2 guys. Wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, whatever. And you could end up with Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, and Devin Funchess, or Jonnu Smith, or whatever. You can set this up however you want. It takes a little bit of time. I'm showing you a hyper simple way. It's how I tend to play. I'll take the 15 lineups I ran, pick the best one I like for cash, throw it in the cash lineups, and I'll take a few and run them in some tournaments. That's how I do my week. And it just doesn't take that long. Most of my time is spent researching and writing and cutting down the workload for you guys. That's why you guys need to be VIPs. You get access to all of that, and you get to banter back and forth and questions back and forth. I'll show you really quick my channel and all of the questions back and forth and the coaching that I've already been doing this morning with a little bit of lineup review. It's not my favorite thing to do with people, because if they're on my players and on my core, I'm not gonna say no. But we'll talk a little bit of theory. That's all just today. That's the kind of coaching and accessibility you get inside DFSArmy.com. Content, tools, coaching. 20 coaches, 40 staff, 1,800 members now. Constantly talking DFS 24/7. Tennis, covered. NASCAR, covered. Football, obviously that's where our focus is right now. You need to be here. You will become a better player. Just had a guy today tell me, I was here 2 years ago. I didn't play here last year. I came back this year, and damn if I haven't learned more in 2 weeks than I learned all of last year out on my own. I hear that stuff all the time. It is real. It is real. DFSArmy.com. The link is in the comment section. Coupon code CHOP. I'll save 10% for you by allowing you to do that. If our prices go up, you're grandfathered in. Your price, what you agree to today, never increases if you're with us for 1 month or 10 years. Your price will never change, as long as you don't let go of your membership. Once you get in, plan on staying. You will stay. You will want to stay. If you have issues, if you come talk to me, come talk to our coaches, we will spend the time with you to hopefully get you right. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be a little bit open-minded. You have to give it some time. There's a growth curve to the site, to all the content, to the tools, to everything else. But once you get in there, you will find out. You will become a better DFS player. I can damn near guarantee it. All right, it's been Chop Talk, weekend edition. Hopefully you got something out of it. We're bumping up on 25 minutes. Let's let her go to week 2. And I will see you guys on Monday for a recap. Have a good week, and hopefully you become DFS Army members today. Take care, guys.